Matthew 18, verses 21 to 35. This is the story of the unforgiving servant. You know, Peter comes to Jesus and says, how many times should I forgive this idiot who's really got up my nose? And he says, 7 times? Reasonable? And he says, not even 70 times 7. And this is the story he tells about that. Here's the question. I want you to think about this. Does grace received equal grace lived? I'm very interested in the way that I live as a follower of Jesus. Does the grace that I've received equal the graciousness of the way that I live? Because whenever Jesus talks about our relationship with God, he almost always talks about God's grace extended to us. In fact, Jesus went on time and again about people who were in a pathetic situation, who had nothing to contribute, and yet they were made right completely by this kind of extended hand from the outside. Jesus really knew how to get under your skin, didn't he? Now, Christians are famous for their exaggerated sense of right and wrong as it applies to other people. And Jesus had seen that sort of thing close up and personal with the religious people of his own time, because nothing really changes. You know, in the heart, we're still the same. And so he tells this story to underline the absurdity of that situation. So here's this guy, okay, and he's maxed out, as they say, on a dozen credit cards. He's completely in debt up to his neck, millions in debt. And then when it's called due, he puts on the show and he's weeping and pleading, saying, more time, give me more time. And it sounds like 100 mafia movies, doesn't it? Just give me more time. And because the creditor, God is the character in the story at this point, he doesn't just forgive him the debt, he wipes it out. He doesn't give him more time, he wipes out the debt. And this is life-changing. But it's not heart-changing. Grace received doesn't equal grace lived. It doesn't change the heart of our man. He immediately goes out, finds somebody who owes him a small amount, demands repayment, doesn't get it, has the guy thrown in prison. And if you recognise that person, I hope it's not you. Well, the truth is, it is you, and it is me, because grace received doesn't equal grace lived. Episode 3 is where the other servants pass on this appalling act of hypocrisy to the boss, causing the boss, who stopped acting like the God of the Gospels and starts acting like the God that we think he should be, fair. And so fair means he's the God of the law. He calls in the hypocrite for a real accounting, and you know how that turns out. Well, read it, but it's bad news. So in this instance, the connection between grace received in a completely helpless situation and grace lived out in the relationship that you have with others is put on display. And it's told that way to make you feel uncomfortable. And that sudden shift from gospel to law is a bit of a body blow, because none of us are very good at living out the way that we have received. We're none of us very good at receiving grace and then giving grace. We are just mean. And this wipeout of debt is hilarious. Grace is hilarious. You imagine there's so much wrong. Imagine somebody comes and said, it's all right, here's 10 million quid. Enjoy. No restraints. Nothing to restrict you. Enjoy. Except for one thing. Live to others the way that I've lived towards you. And if Jesus doesn't take the beating and go to prison for my sake, well, that's what's going to happen to me. The point is, it's simple. Here it is. Jesus simply won't separate grace received and grace lived, no matter how much we want him to. But how does this shape you? How does it affect you? And the answer is, it's not easy. It's that Jesus keeps those things together and insists that we do. In fact, it makes the life of a follower of Jesus very difficult at times. The more you understand the grace of God and the command to love and live as one who belongs to God, the more difficult it will be. So go figure. Go figure. As you have received, so give. Amen. God bless you this morning.